Hi friends, especially you, Dave. I'm going to start out with the very beginning exercises for rhythmic jig picking. It's the main thing that's made my life so much better playing jigs on Irish banjo. Let me give you a little background. I'm a flute player primarily. Of course, when you play the flute, you don't really have a rhythm hand and a fingering hand, who's deciding when the note happens and who's deciding what the note is. It's all you. And you huff and puff. It's not like a harmonica where you can suck in. It's all puffing. You just puff. You blow. Sometimes you blow hard, sometimes you blow quick, sometimes you blow soft. It's all blowing. So playing jigs and reels and different rhythms on the flute is you just do it. I mean, you just do it without worrying about what hands doing what or whatever. Both hands are doing the same thing. So you go puff, 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 and you have a jig. By emphasizing that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have a jig rhythm. And so when I started playing strings, actually I started playing strings on, well, I guess I started on the banjo, but where I got rhythmic picking was on the mandolin. I went to a mandolin class at Swannanoa one year. And during the class, they were introducing rhythmic picking, which is, all the picking, the rhythm coming from your pick hand, your strumming hand. And, that makes perfect sense. But the question I had was, well, I already played jigs and reels and stuff on the flute. Is it going to be worth me picking up or learning rhythmic picking on the banjo or on the mandolin in this case? Because I can, I know the tunes, I can just play the notes and it comes out to me sounding like a jig. So why bother learning rhythmic picking? Since I taught myself, I was just kind of like typing with two fingers, discover it and land on it. I was playing notes that way. So that's not rhythmic picking, and it sounds pretty much the same. So what's the point? If I can make a rhythm, then I'm good. But so I asked that question in class. Is it worth my time to learn how to do rhythmic picking? And this girl in the back of the class says, yes, I'm a dancer, and I can so tell when somebody's playing with rhythmic picking and when somebody's just doing the discover it and land on it. So yes, I'm like, okay, it's good enough for me. Dancers are what the music's all about anyway. So I actually spent like 3 or 4 months, and I mean months of practice. I practiced every day trying to get my rhythmic picking down. And you think, what's so hard about that, right? Well, nothing, but you have to spend the time to get your brain to coordinate this hand and this hand so you don't have to think about it. If you have to think about it, your playing goes out the window. Maybe you've heard that old expression when somebody asks, can you read music? And the smart-ass response is, yeah, I can read a little bit, but not enough to affect my playing. And that's exactly what happens when you have to think about what you're doing. If you're reading music, if you can't just see it and play it, if you have to think, okay, F-A-C-E, okay, that it's not going to come out like music. So that's what happens. That's why you have to spend the time. So if you have no habits, if you're a beginning banjo player and you're wanting to learn to play Irish music, jigs in particular, but it applies to other, all rhythms of Irish music just the same. It's just that the jig is probably the harder one to master, and it's a good place to start because once you get that, the rest of them fall into place. What you end up doing is you end up setting your rhythm hand off, just like tapping your foot. You know, again, if you're really starting, you're probably thinking about tapping your foot too. But after a while, you'll just tap your foot while you're playing, and you'll kind of keep time, and you won't be thinking about tapping your foot. So the next thing you want to do is get your pick hand to be doing whatever rhythm you want at whatever speed you want, and you can forget the foot tapping if you like, because your hand's doing the foot tapping for you. But it's a good backup. So I do foot tapping. Actually, I do heel tapping. That's my preference. I tap my heel. But whatever. I'm keeping the rhythm somewhere, and then my pick hand is making sure that the one is on the beat. Now, for practice purposes, it's a good idea to play with a metronome and make it a slow metronome. And you tap your foot, again, we're talking beginners here. You tap your foot in time with the metronome. And the metronome keeps you honest. Your foot defines your beat, and your hand is gonna, it's gonna sync up with that. And that's really what the first exercise is. Pick a string. A string is always good. Has a nice tone. Just strum down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. That's all you have to do. How long can you stand it? Eventually you'll get crazy. And when that happens, you can go to another string just to change the sound if you like. But you need to make that rhythm automatic. You don't even have to think about it, it just comes out. And that's not a bad pace to do it. You can do it slower. Do everything as slow as you have to do it correctly. That was something that I learned in a fiddle class at Swannanoa. Finn McGill was the beginning fiddle teacher, and he was asked, well, how should I practice? What would a practice session look like? And of course he said, you start with long tones, because on the fiddle you have to make each note, you have to make all the sound for the most part. So playing long tones was good. And then he said, when it comes to practicing tunes, play the tunes as slow as you have to play them perfectly, the way you want to play them when you play them at speed. Because there's no point rushing and learning to make mistakes, which is what you're doing if you play faster than you can. So, and that applies to this exercise too. So play the rhythmic picking, play the first jig, practice as slow as you have to. Down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. And just keep it up until you're sick of it. Go have a sandwich, come back and get sick of it again. Because you're programming your brain. There's no shortcut. There's no like, oh, I get it now. That's what I'm supposed to do. No, that's your brain thinking. You got to take it out of your brain and put it into your involuntary nervous system, or whatever that thing's called. So it just happens by magic. So it's going to take a while. You have to like beat it into your synapses of your nerves. It doesn't even have to get back to your brain. It just happens in your arm or something. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's how I think of it. You just got to get your arm and your hand to do the right thing. And while you're at it, while you're practicing this, practice your posture. practice where you want to contact the banjo. You know, what angle do you want the banjo? You'll see some banjo players that play with the neck in front of them. That's a real handy way to play because it gives you a good access to the strings for this, you know, rhythmic picking thing. If you bring it across in front of you, it's kind of awkward. You know, it's hard to bend your arm and get the rhythm going. But here it's more like a gunslinger, right? You know, you just like drop my pick again. It's like a gunslinger, you know. You just, that's the way your arm wants to move. So why not take advantage of that? So I don't. I mean, I try to, but I usually end up, because I play flute, I usually end up with the banjo coming back across me. So anyway, whatever's comfortable, just do it. Just make sure you're hitting the string where you want to hit the string. You know, if you get too close to the bridge, I mean, sometimes I do that on purpose because I want to sound like that. But then if you get too close to the first fret, you know, it gets kind of meh. So find where you want your banjo to play, what you want it to sound like, and play there. I don't know if it comes through that well on this recording since the audio levels are automatic, but just do it. Just do it and keep doing it. And then you'll get really bored. And whenever you feel brave, go to the next exercise, which is going to be doing that same pattern over 2 strings. Let's do it on the G string. So use 2 strings. We're going to use the A string for the downs. Down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. Change strings when you get tired of hearing that. Down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. Oh, and of course you can make it wider. You can do whatever, however brave you are, try it. If it doesn't work, go back. Play it perfectly. Don't speed it up till you can. And what you can do so that you can get, you know, it takes less thinking if you're busier. So you get the idea, right? I'm going to call this end of lesson 1. And practice a lot. Practice, practice, practice. Don't worry about changing notes. We'll do that later.